Can I be heard? Hope so. Oh, you know what? I may have to enable. Mm, cancel. Be careful. Level. One. Great. All right. Can you hear me, Pete? Sometimes I'm not sure how the microphone is working. I see a little bit of a green. Oh, good. Okay. Is it too loud or is it okay? Of course, that depends on how loud your computer's set up. I'm going to check this now. Now, can you hear me? Okay, good. All right. So if you can still hear me, that's okay. I see a little green here. So what's going on? I got my coffee, although it's almost gone. You guys check out the video I posted this morning about the cluster guitar. Let's see. That's a pretty fun trick. I love. Um, I'm probably not going to sing, but I might. I'm planning on playing some guitar. Okay, Gary, I'll wait for you. Go get your coffee. Let's see. Um, they're making a lot of noise next door. There's a we just bought this house in April, and they it's kind of in a cool neighborhood. It's kind of like rural-ish for LA anyway, zoned for farming. And when we bought the house, there's a rooster in the back behind us and hens and everything. You would hear the rooster at all times, but it really didn't bother me. But it disappeared the other day, and I was like, "Oh no, what happened?" I have no thumbnail. It's driving me crazy. Um, I was like, "What happened?" And apparently, if you looked over the fence, you saw all these sheds and everything, and they are no longer. They're tearing them all out. So that's what the noise is. So I'm working on trying to cull through all my writing uh, for my recording that I'm going to do. I don't know if you've heard about that. The recording project. I'm going to go ahead and do one. It's no GoFundMe page or anything like that. It's just going to be basically it's just going to be me. I don't need to pay any other musicians. But I've got so much music to kind of go through that I've written, and a lot of the music that I've written was written as an exercise or a study. Maybe some technique that I couldn't play, or even some style that I wanted to play in. Got like some Django stuff that I wrote that way. I don't know if you know the guitar player Sean Tubbs. He's amazing. He does great Django stuff, and I thought, oh, I should do a few of those. So I started doing them, and not as easy as I thought they would be. Well, they didn't sound easy anyway, but I had fun recording them, and some of the ones that I recorded, I got into different libraries, music libraries um, uh, for TV shows and things like that, and so I can't use those because when I get them in the library, basically you're giving up the publishing to the library company. You're getting the writers, which is half the money. So if they do the work and get get a song in a TV show, then you'll make money off of it for however long whenever that show airs, you make a little bit of money. So I have to write some new ones that I haven't given out. So that probably one of those will show up. Kind of a gypsy jazz kind of thing. And then there'll be a couple finger style. And like I said, I have no thumb nail right now. So thanks, Vic. I don't know if that's sarcasm. Hard to tell. You're being sarcastic. So this one tune that I want to do, it's Emma Louise, which is my daughter's name. And I wanted to write something that was both quirky and beautiful, like my daughter. She's very funny. She's very goofy, and she's very beautiful. So this, I was trying to work on this, but again, without a thumbnail, I'm going to grab a thumb pick, but I'm not a thumb pick master. I actually like. There's no topic, Patrick. Whatever. I'm just kind of talking a little bit about the record that I'm going to be working on. My solo record, so this is. Ooh, man, my hands aren't warmed up. Oh, I need to do my warm up. Oh no, I'm not going to do that. So again, when I write these things, I'm not used to using a thumb pick. When I write these things, I tend to write things that are above my playing level, so that I have to work them. Once I get them down, then I've got a new skill or a new level that I've reached in that area. So that's definitely true with my classical guitar pieces. So often I write them, but I can't play them, and then I have to work them until I can play them. And you can hear some of those on my channel if you go hunting for my songs or something that's a playlist on my channel. And I really, somebody asked what kind of guitar I like. I really like using. I love this Martin. If I just grab this Martin, it feels great. This thing is totally abused. You can see the pick guard. I had it re-glued down, and it did that again. So my guitar tech re-glued it, and probably just needs to be taken off and a whole new pick guard put on. You can't really see here. I don't think there's enough light, but at one point this pick guard, the guitar was turned into a lefty. That's probably why this pick guard's all jacked up, because maybe they moved it, but there's no scarring here. But you can see in the bridge that they actually took out the saddle, filled it in, and then recut a lefty saddle. And then I had it for however long. And when I bought it, it had already been refilled in, because you can see the fill where they filled it and had the angle slightly different for a lefty. So it's weird. It may have been a lefty to begin with. Maybe, I don't know. So now that I think about it, it could have been a lefty and they turned it into a righty. But the pick guard's, always been here as far as I know. And then there's also dings on the side here. So I got this for steel for like $1,100 at Guitar Center. But I just really liked it. I really, really liked it. So the thumb pick makes me think of talk about doing some kind of lesson. There's different ways you can approach your strings. You can play with a pick. Okay, flat picking. You can use your fingers. Which again, I have no thumbnail. You can do hybrid picking, which is holding a pick and then playing with your other fingers. And that's nice because I do that without even thinking about it. but I'm not a country player. That's why I don't live in Nashville. So I have sometimes I'll when you have the pick in your hand, you have the ability to go right to flat picking. But then if you have the skill to go ahead and play some fingers, then you've got that option. So if you hear some note. So I can do the bass notes with my pick, and I can do the high notes with my fingers. Yeah, we have a troll. So and then another type of picking would be with a thumb pick and fingers, and that would be. I should do a video on all of these, but I'm not an expert on many of these. But that would be basically what it does is it gives you a thumb pick, because I actually have a thumb pick that I've really sanded down so it's a little bit smaller, so I can do. It's hard to do flat picking with a thumb pick, but some guys do it. And but now you have with a thumb pick, you have a pick a pick sound and a pick on your thumb, and then you've got 3 or 4 fingers instead of just 2 or 3. Because when you're hybrid picking, you've got to use 2 fingers at least to hold the pick, and then you're going to grab. You're going to grab the notes on top with your top 2 fingers. Another way you can pick, and I just got these recently. I mean, I use finger picks for banjo. I use finger picks for dobro sometimes because it really makes it pop. And I haven't used finger picks on guitar. Now, there are several guitar players that use finger picks. Yeah, I do. I agree with that. I agree with that, Peter. I have used a thumb pick when it's really hard, but I kind of like the sound of the metal finger picks and the thumb pick together. And I got a metal thumb pick too. So if I want to have metal all the way around, I could do that. Needless to say, I have lots of picks lying around. But I think Leo Kottke played with finger picks, and that he was playing a 12-string. John Denver, I think, played with finger picks. There's a lot of guitar players that played with finger picks, and it creates a really cool sound. With my banjo finger picks, someone showed me on YouTube because I was having trouble with the scraping sound. When I would play banjo, it would sound just too scrapey. And somebody said if you twist the tip, and I forget which direction, it makes sense if you see it. I think if you twist the pick, if you're looking at your finger this way and you go, for you guys, it would be counterclockwise. So if you twist it counterclockwise, just a little bit, it really allows you to kind of have the angle that your hand is going to be, but it gets rid of the scraping sound. So my banjo picks are twisted at the tip, and that really helps with getting rid of that sound. And then, so how many is that now? What are we at? We're at flat pick, hybrid, finger pick, thumb pick, fingering, thumb pick with finger picks. So let's see, pick, hybrid, fingering, pick with thumb pick. And then also flamenco, they tend to use all 5 fingers. And boy, I'll tell you, I studied some flamenco for a little bit. That's another one of those. If I had another lifetime, if I had multiple lifetimes, I would spend each lifetime learning a different genre of guitar. There's just so many different things where if you could just spend your whole life doing it, you'd be great. But if you try to do like I do, try too many styles, you don't ever become an expert in any of them. But yeah, Patrick, I'm the same way. But I did have a classical guitar gig where I broke my thumbnail off right before, and so it was a wedding, and I had to do the whole the whole gig with a thumb pick. And fortunately, it happened a couple days before, so I was able to just kind of sit down and just get used to it as best I could. And I had another gig, classical gig, like the next week, and my nail was really, I mean, I really broke it off. So I went to one of those nail places and had them put on a plastic nail. And I'll tell you, that was worse than the pick. That was worse than the pick. I see guys play with, players play with long nails and stuff. And oftentimes I know they're fake nails and they've probably gotten really good at it. In fact, did I not see a video of James Taylor doing that? Doing his nails, I think on his YouTube channel. I'm pretty sure it was James Taylor putting plastic nails on and totally working them up and showing his whole system. But boy, that thumbnail, talk about feeling disconnected. I never realized how much kind of nerve endings you can feel in those picks in your fingernails. I mean, there's no nerve endings, but you can really feel the string through the nail. I really love that. Yeah, and that's with no thumbnail. I've got a classical guitar session on Thursday, so my nails are all shiny right now because I've been putting polish on them to try to get them to stay strong and not break between now and Thursday. If I have a little bit of thumbnail, I can make it work. What I discovered was, I don't know if you remember that ad, years ago, the Volkswagen Bug ad, the Beetle ad, where it had the Beetle parked and behind it was a bridge with the arches, and it was talking about how the arch is the most solid architectural structure. And I've noticed that my pinky and my third fingernails, they never break. I mean, unless I let them get way too long. This is a Martin, and it's covered up. Sorry, Pepper, I didn't see your question. Yeah, it's a Martin D35. 3-piece back. That's, I think, what the 3 and 35 stands for. Somebody correct me on that. I'm not like up on all that stuff. And this, like I said, was a very abused. You can see the pick guards jacked up. Where was I? I have to go back in the video to know where I was. I got distracted by Texas. But I've got the session, as long as I have a little, the nails. That's right. I was talking about the nails. And yet these two fingers are very flat. If you look at them this way, they're pretty flat, whereas these are very arched. And these two nails break all the time. My thumb's broken all the time. And there are classical guitarists, in order to keep nails, that will literally clamp their fingers. It sounds insane. It's like the Japanese women that will put their feet in too small of shoes to keep their feet small. It's the same principle. It's like they will clamp their nails here, 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 here when they're sleeping, so that their nails arch, and that makes them much stronger. So, okay, sorry. Let me. Happy to take questions. Let me look for questions here. What's that, Gravency? Acrylic nails. Yeah, my wife told me she divorced me. Yeah, it's not a good look for me. And I literally had to take that nail off when I had that acrylic nail on my thumb. It felt so weird. I felt like I wasn't playing. It's just, I don't know what it was. It's funny because a thumb pick feels better to me, So I just got, these are cool too. You can get these. Maybe I'll put a link up, but this is just a felt pick. This is what ukulele players use these. I got some rubber picks coming too that bass players use to get that thumb sound, but with a pick. But I'm always looking for different sounds. That's a nickel from picks. I've got so many different things. I mean, this one here, this is a Wiegand. This is a great bluegrass pick, the Wiegand Bluegrass. I really like that. Wegen. I'll type it in. You can look them up. Basically, you have to buy them pretty much from like eBay or something. And then this thing is great for gypsy jazz stuff. It's my I think it's just called a gypsy jazz pick, and I think this is 3.5 millimeters. Very, very thick, but it has that sound. Before I record my gypsy jazz track for the record, or I may do two, I'm going to have to definitely put new strings on this thing. This So this is a Del Arte, and I really wanted to get a cedar top one, but when I bought this, I really like the sound of the maple top. So it actually, or I'm sorry, the spruce top. So it's the back is maple. Look at that. Look at the flame on that. Oh my gosh, it's a gorgeous guitar. I haven't used it as much as I thought I would. I wouldn't put it in the category of regretful purchases. I've had a few of those where I bought guitars that I felt like I needed and then I never used. My Paul Reed Smith falls in that camp. I'm sure there's some Paul Reed Smith fans. Let's see. Hey, Gary, play fingerstyle and have thumb picks, but now I tend to use only my fingers. Yep. You know what's funny? Yeah, I get calluses on my picking. When I play bass for sessions, I sometimes will get I get blisters right here. I don't play enough that I get calluses on my first and second finger. Which actually, those rubber picks that I've got coming from Amazon, those will probably come in handy because I can sound like fingers if my fingers are getting sore. A lot of times when I'm working for different composers, I'll spend 3 or 4 hours just playing bass. And so fingering bass, you know, if you're just not used to it, you get blisters. So, you know what, finger pick wise, I don't know. I'm not fishing out of I got National. I went to Amazon and grabbed these National picks. It was National. It was 2 thumb picks. Let me see if I can find. I'll find it and maybe send it to you. It wasn't expensive or anything. So, but National, you know, I kind of think of National as being kind of a really good brand. I have a National Dobro, an old one, 1929. It's not my oldest instrument, but it's my second oldest instrument, I think. So let's see, where were those? Yeah, here it is. So I got a link here. Copy. So it came with 2 thumb picks and 4 finger picks. So it was this. I think there's 4 finger. Oh no, yeah, there's a thumb pick from the other thing. Yeah, 4. Here it is. 4 finger picks. Not that I would ever put a pick on my pinky. And then the 2 thumb picks, and I got large, and I'm glad because the medium, you know, if you put a too small thumb pick on, the tip of my thumb starts to tingle. It's not a good sign. Hey, I got to take a sip of coffee. All right, let's see, where are we? Can you share your most beautiful finger stuff? Well, if I had my thumbnail, I'm probably going to do a lesson on this pattern that I like. Here. I'm probably going to do a lesson on a pattern. This was one of my favorite patterns, and it's basically a Villalobos, kind of an abbreviation of a Villalobos. I don't know if you know any Villalobos. I think it's an Etude number 1, and it's not warmed up. See, I have no thumb picks or thumbnail, so I'm going to see if I can do it with a thumb pick. And this is yeah, the chair is comfortable. So this is the Villalobos piece played poorly. The cool thing about the Villalobos piece, and this is something that Villalobos would do, he was a cellist, very good composer. He would kind of use the guitar to its own advantage. Okay, he does in that piece. And this is a 6-string pattern. And if I do a lesson on this, I'll do this pattern as well. I'll do both patterns. My abbreviation of it, I'm going to show you in a minute. But Villalobos just takes this diminished chord. See, I'm playing a diminished chord on the middle 4 strings, and I'm leaving the outside strings open. Or I should say Villalobos did that. And so you get this. And he literally does it all the way down the neck, from the 10th fret all the way down to open position. But it's just beautiful because the notes all ring against those open strings in different ways. It is diminished, yeah. So, but there's a piece that I wrote, and I'm thinking about putting it on my record. I have to re-record it, but again, with no nail, it's hard to do this piece, but that's one of the pieces. I think it's really beautiful, but again, beauty is in the ear of the beholder. So this is my nylon. This is an Asturias. It's a Japanese guitar, but the builder, the designer, I think was from Spain. And I've had that guitar forever. In fact, when I bought it, it had these 2 cracks on it, right here and here. If you can see those. And I bought it in the 80s. And I thought, oh, at some point this thing's going to collapse. And it will, but it hasn't yet. I got a good deal on it. So did you guys see the cluster guitar video yet? Okay, so $65 Squier. This thing was, Patrick, if you haven't seen this, you should pick up one and do this to it. I'm real tempted to show up at church one weekend and try to play the whole set with it. So it's basically just let's see, let me get a tone up. Okay, this should do it. If you can hear that. So right now it's tuned to all D's. And I imagine it's not great for the neck. The amazing thing to me is that the saddle isn't pulling up. This might be better to do with like a cheap Les Paul copy or a cheap SG or a cheap, Epiphone, of some kind, or a hardtail Strat. I know that they're probably even cheaper because they don't have to have all this mechanism back here. But it's not pulling up weird on the saddle. And the action's a little high up here. But because they're all tuned to the same note, it's really easy to get clusters. Which, if you sit on a piano, you get a cluster. And let me tune that down to C sharp. And you're like, why would you do it? But I work for a lot of composers that are always looking for that kind of weird, some kind of weird sound. I'll do it with like swells, like I'll hit a chord and then swell it in. But I also like to find diatonic things. So like if you imagine a minor scale, open, 2nd fret, 3rd, 5th, 7th, 8th, 10th. If you can see that on there on one string, then you just put those notes adjacently. So I'm playing top 4 strings, open, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 4th fret. Something that would be completely impossible on the guitar. And if I want, I could play it anywhere. So if I wanted, so this is D, so this would be A's. These would be, that's 6 A's right there. Now that I would have a use for. The clusters, not so much, but so if I continue up the fretboard, so I've got the root, the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. If I play the 3rd, 4th, and 5th, it looks like that. Not completely unplayable. Keep going up. If I were to do it to a major scale, here's what a major scale would sound like. So I'm going to go open, 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11, 12. I'm going to, and music theory wise, that's called a tetrachord. Again, super easy on piano to play. And that's kind of what I was trying to do. The video I did on this that I posted this morning, I talk about, I put it in my Cool Tool playlist, which has a lot of stuff on it, a lot of different videos of different guitars and stuff on it. But I kind of make the point, and I think it's a real valid point, that the Cool Tool is your imagination in this video, because with this guitar, because it was my imagination that conceptualized this. In fact, RJ, I don't know how to say his last name correctly, Ronquillo or whatever. He's a friend of mine, and he saw it, watched it this morning. He goes, "That's genius. I never thought of that before." And it's just kind of one of those things where my imagination came up with this. I've showed you the I'll show it to you. I'll show you the I haven't done a video for the drone one. Okay, so it's kind of the opposite. Instead of having 6 high E strings, I went with 3 low E strings. And that's a totally different sound too. But let me do the major scale so you can hear that with this. Man, I love that sound. So if I go up the scale. Isn't that dope? I'm sorry. I love that kind of stuff. And, if I did it with, this is the U2 pick. This is the German, I forget what West Germany pick, though it's got lots of bumps on it. And this is what Edge uses. You probably can't hear that, but. and I can strum all six strings. Everything's going to work. And again, if I want to change keys, I just capo. So now if I put it at the 5th fret, and now it's all G's. And I might have to temper tune it if I'm going to play it really high. If I were to capo, let's say at the 10th fret or something like that, I'm very likely going to have to temper tune it. So, all right. So let me get out the drone guitar, which is kind of the opposite of this. Like I said, I have a lot of these cheap Squiers. Okay, so this is basically the same guitar, crappy Squier I got probably for $79. Not $69, as my sons are always like, oh, it's $69 guitar. No, it's a $79 guitar. All right, so this one's just, this one is tuned to E right now. And the great thing about it, I wouldn't do this with a really nice guitar, because if it did screw up the neck past the point of no return, that would not be good. But part of the reason I like doing it with cheap guitars is so I can just leave them that way. So this guitar is always tuned with 3. There we go. I mean, it's just kind of cool sounding. But if I were to go to like a more of a metal sound, it's pretty dope. And then but the reason I call it a drone guitar is because I can do stuff on one of the strings, particularly on the top string, because you got all this real estate, so you can go. So it's just 3 E strings. All right, let me go back to a clean sound. The other thing I've done with this guitar is I've done a little bit of, like right there is E, F sharp, G sharp. You can get the tetrachords again, except this is just 4. So I just imagine, for example, a major scale. And then I just lay my fingers on those notes and play them. But the whole point is to have, because I could do it just normal, but with this, I can have them all ring out against each other, which is kind of the cool part of it. Oh, you're taking a music course in college and you hate it? Yeah, it can be kind of weird, because one of the things that when I studied, I went to Butler. One of the advantages I had going to Butler was that my teacher in high school, I had 2 years of music theory at my high school. Theory 1, 2, 3, 4. And it was taught by a man who had just graduated from Butler. So when I got to Butler, everything he was teaching was stuff already, or when I got to Butler, everything they were teaching was stuff that I just learned in high school. So it was fairly easy, but it was a lot of sight singing, which is hard, kind of embarrassing if you're not used to singing. Um, and dictation. I don't know if you've had to do dictation in the in the in your music class, but what they do is they sit at the piano and they play it. They tell you the starting note. They don't expect you to have perfect pitch, so they say A, and then they may play, some. And then you have to write it down. And what I did wrong in college, even I did it in high school, I didn't stop doing it. All the smart kids would just listen to it. And da 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 da, and they would memorize it in their head, and then in their head they have this tape recorder they could rewind and play it and write it down, because you're only going to get it played 3 times most. Maybe some schools, if they're really hard, it'd be 2 times. But if you're lucky, you get 3 chances at it. But what I would do is he'd go whatever the thing was, and as soon as he played the first note, I start writing down that A, and then it's like I stopped listening at that point because I was writing. And so I never did learn to do it the right way. But that's one trick. If you're in music course in college and they're doing dictation, then listen, like close your eyes, memorize it, try to get it in that tape recorder brain thing, and just keep replaying it and write it out. If you're doing sight singing, it's all about learning the intervals. So if you see, dun, 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 the minor third, dun, 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 the major third, dun, dun, and so on and so forth. It's been a long time since I've had to do sight reading, but okay, Gary, what was your beginner question? Let's see. Do you bend up or push down? It depends on what string you're on. Exactly. Now here, if I'm on a low string, I'm going to bend down. If I were to do like one of my favorite Steve Lukather licks, here's another cheap Squire right here. This one is tuned standard though. This is just standard tune. This one I've used on a lot of things. It has a great little tone to it, but I'm going to get that metal sound out. This is not a Lukather sound. So for an E minor, pentatonic, or blues, but let's just say pentatonic. I'll add the blues notes into it. We have E, G, E, G, A, B, D, and E. And so we have whole steps and minor thirds. So we have major seconds and minor thirds. And what Luke will often do is he'll bend that minor third. So like if you're on E, the minor third, he'll bend up to that. And then also the B to the D is a minor third. Yeah, you can't bend down on the first string. And you can't bend up on the 6 exactly. But other than that, and so you would have loved it right now if I broke a string. So that's Lukather would do that. So you can bend up minor thirds, and I do it all the way down the fretboard, and that's why you got to bend some of those strings down. They're just easier to bend down. You have more real estate to work with. So back to what I call the drone guitar. I'll do a video on this one too at some point, for a Cool Tool video on this. Although you just watch this video and you're going to get basically what I'm going to talk about. Let's see, what other questions we got? Hey, Egyptian Codes. Hello from California. Let's see, in Egypt, you're probably 9 hours ahead of me. So it's probably 7 p.m. there, maybe 8 p.m. Halloweener. Oh, Vic, that's awful. That's awful. Hey, and I didn't even make any Halloween reference when I did my cluster guitar video. I should have, because it totally is very Halloween. See, I can get clusters on this too, like G, G sharp, A. if I add some delay to it, add wah. One of the things I like about these cheap Strats is that, you know, if they can tend to be a little noisy. So basically, what I'll do is I'll just go to the out of phase positions, and they're pretty darn quiet. Like even this is not. I've got a compressor on. It's not loud. It's not buzzing at all. So. Oh, Pepper. See, Pepper, you were the one in school. Sorry, I got to scroll back here and see where that. Hey, Kathy, I see you comment all the time. If I could keep only one of my guitars, which would I choose? You know, I don't have like gear lust anymore. My son still does. He's like, he can't stop buying guitars. I pretty much only buy stuff that I need, and my brain has shifted from want to need. That happened so long ago that I almost feel like if I could only have one guitar, it might be none, just so that I'd be like, okay, if I'm not gonna play guitar anymore, I'm not gonna play guitar anymore. But probably my Martin, the Martin D35 I was playing earlier, that would definitely be a sorry, I dropped my pick. That would definitely be in my top 2 or 3. My Strat, you know, so Kathy, would I have a guitar amp or would I not have a guitar amp in this mythical place where I'm only allowed one guitar? Oh, so Pepper, you play, okay, so you're taking a music class. See, wait, was it you? Who was it that said they were taking a music class? I'm still trying to find that. Oh no, this old helmet, sorry. Oh, you're Pepper. You're taking guitar lessons, private guitar lessons. Yeah, Pepper. I don't know if you've seen. Okay. Oh, good. I can have an amp. Yeah. So maybe my Strat. I'll maybe in that mythical place where I'm only allowed one guitar. I'll have maybe my Strat. You know, if I that's a toughie though. That's a toughie. Can I have 2 guitars? So yeah, Pepper. I don't know if you've seen my videos. I'm really enjoying teaching the soloing, what did I call it? I wished I'd called it something else. Introduction to improvisation or intro to improvisation. I really just should have called it like basic soloing or beginner soloing or learn to solo or something. I'm not really good at naming my videos, you know, like I should have probably named my cluster guitar video, the one I posted today, like this guitar will freak you out, with big letters or maybe Halloween letters or something like, I don't know. I'm just not really good at doing that. So I depend on all of you to promote my videos. It blows me away when you guys like go to forums and say, check this video out or whatever. It really does tend to explode my views, but my view count when you guys promote me. And I know I hope you know I appreciate that. But I'm basically in those videos, I talk about the pentatonic scale. And I went up. Oops. To the pentatonic number 2, basically. The next video, I'm going to go down. I haven't made it yet, but I'm going to go down. So we're going to combine the number 1 pentatonic that I talk about. I call it number 1 with the number 5. And we're going to have 2 pentatonics there. And then, you know, maybe I'm not sure exactly or I know there's another video I'm going to do where I talk about using 2 different keys over the same progression. And that's something George Benson would do, one of my favorite guitar players. And I can show you how to do that. And then we might talk about hybrid scales where you combine 2 scales and create this third hybrid scale. There's all sorts of stuff coming in those videos that I'm really looking forward to doing. And I think that it works that I'm playing and then you copy me and stuff. My main reason for doing that is so that you so often people will learn their scale and they'll just do, that's their solo. And it's, there's so many different, there's a million melodies in there. And if you just think the scale, you won't get to that point where you're thinking melodies. So yeah, check that out. Hey. Oh, Patrick, what have you gotten recently? Oh yeah, selling's tough. I don't sell anything. I got the luxury of not having. I have sold stuff in the past that I've regretted. I know you all have. Well, anybody that's been playing a while and collecting for a while probably has that problem. What should I pick up? Okay, I can. Since we're on the subject of cheap guitars, here's another $80 guitar. It's an Epiphone. It was all black, but my daughter decorated this. I've showed you this before. So my daughter did this. I just bought her the pens. It's like, and it doesn't smear anything. It's really cool pens. They're like gold and bronze and copper. She even put "I love you" here. So this is tuned. It's single coils. Two soap bar, which are single coils. And so I have it tuned to high strung. So basically it's standard tuning, eat at Denny's, get bad eggs, E, A, D, G, B, E. But the bottom four are up an octave. So these are an octave higher than they should be. And then the last two strings are normal. So it creates some really kind of cool, again, tight voicings that are very, very difficult on the guitar normally, but very easy on piano. My friend Michiko Hill says even a cat can play piano. They just so. Although we had a cat that played guitar, she would bite strings and she'd love to hear him ring. It's weird that strings go sharp sometimes. I always expect strings to go flat, like to stretch out. You get some tight voicings that you couldn't normally get on guitar if it wasn't tuned that way. So this is a high strung. Let's see. Oh yeah. Oh, Seagulls are great guitars. They have they have cedar tops usually is what I think of. Let's see. Martins hold their values. Taylor's coming. Some Gibsons do. It just depends. I mean, I get. I buy what I need, and so I'm not really trying to sell anything. If I don't have to, I've regretted a couple things. I've sold some pedals and some back in the day, and amps back in the day that I wish I hadn't sold. A couple of guitars. I had a '70s Les Paul that was awful. I bought it from a kind of a friend of my sister's, and it was one of those that was, I think it was referred to as a fretless wonder. It was so hard to play. I think, can I drag a photo in here? Let me see if I can find. There's an old photo of me playing it on Facebook. I'm just kind of embarrassed. Oh my gosh. Yes. I look like such a geek. Oh my gosh. Let's see how far back. I have to go pretty far back to find that photo. but I had a band in high school when I had that guitar. And it was, yeah, I traded it for, I don't have it on the wall, but my Ibanez 335 copy, I traded it for that. And oh, see, I think, is this it? No, I'm playing my 175 there. I still have that guitar. My first electric, I still have. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna be. There's the 335. No, this is Ibanez. Oh, am I in this photo? Boy, you can barely see me in this photo, which is a good thing. Oh my gosh, that photo. No, I would never share that one with you. Look like a dweeb. I was such a dweeb. I'm still a dweeb. I will forever be a dweeb. Let me see if I can do this. I'm going to drag this photo to my desktop and then try to add it to. And if you can, if it works, we'll see. I don't know. Yeah, oh, it says showing plus. No, I can't. It won't let me. I'd have to do some kind of like post it. But anyway, eh, I had long hair all the way through high school. I was, but what's funny is I never, everybody thought I was a druggie, but I wasn't. I was a guitar player with long hair, and everybody thought I was like a druggie, but I never did anything. And then I leave my high school and find out like so many of the teachers there get arrested because some like giant cocaine distribution center for the Midwest. I'm like, what? And I never once was approached to buy or sell. So, completely unrelated to guitar, but yeah. So this, yeah, and so this one is a little noisy. I have it in both. I have it in the middle position, which they're wired out of phase, so it's not. I can hear a little buzz. You can't hear it, but go out of phase, it totally goes away. It's amazing sounding guitar though for $80. I just love cheap guitars, and it's an Epiphone, it's a special Les Paul, probably solid, like, I don't know, composite wood of some kind. All right. Oh, did anybody see? You know what? I can post this photo. Okay, I'm gonna go to my YouTube channel, and I can post this photo on my community section. Also, I will post a link for any of you looking to buy instruments to an auction that is going to be insane. Okay, so community, there we go. Image, here we go. Select an image. All right, so you guys can all make fun of me here. Me on the far right. Actually, you can't see me well enough to really do that. Playing a fretless Wonder Les Paul. Wonder whatever happened to that. I did have, I thought, oh, I need to have a Les Paul. Well, and I was making decent money teaching guitar lessons and stuff like that in Indiana and playing in a band. And I thought, you know what? I should get the best Les Paul. So I bought an L5S. It was like a Les Paul on steroids. Gorgeous instrument. If you look up L5S, Gibson L5S, if you look that up, it's just gorgeous guitar. But what I didn't realize was I think the pickups were wired really weak, like because it was a jazz guitar. It was like a solid body L5 is what it was. L5 is a really good jazz box. And so this one was solid body. And the back where, on a guitar where it's normally a piece of plastic or something, the back on that was actually the piece of wood they cut out of it. So they put it back. They cut it out in such a manner where they could put it back in. It had binding everywhere. It was tapered, so the edges were thin and the middle was thicker. Really cool guitar. I got rid of that one. I think I traded that for a G&L. I needed a Strat, and so I again thought, oh, okay, I'll get a G&L. I didn't like Strats at the Fenders at the time, so I got a G&L that kind of did. I forget what model number it was, but it kind of had a humbuckers, but could kind of sound like a single coil, and I was really wrong about it. So that was one I regret. But the early guitars you pick up, sometimes you just don't know what you're doing. I got really lucky. The Dove there I've had since 1990, and it was the first steel string I ever bought, and that one's been a great guitar. And I didn't realize how good it was, but at the time I was buying that guitar, I was just looking for the loudest acoustic I could find, and that thing. Just it was a great banger. Oh, and the chair. I think I got this chair at IKEA. I'm not mistaken. Somebody asked about the chair. Good strummer. I'll use it on country stuff. Maple back and sides, spruce top has been pretty darn solid. The pickup has never really worked very well in it. I've had it replaced a couple times. Had issues with it. In fact, I bought it back in '90, and I wanted to get it fixed. So I said, "Oh, I should go to the Gibson certified repair person in Los Angeles." So I go over to this a place I'd never been to in Van Nuys. I go inside, I meet the guy that's basically a one-man operation. And laying on this table is this old Strat. And I'm like, wow, that's an old Strat. He goes, yeah, it's a really old Strat. I go, where'd you get, whose is it? And he goes, it's David Gilmour's. It was Strat number 1 or something. I'm looking at this thing going, whoa, I didn't want to touch it. I should have, but I didn't. Anyway, he fixed the pickup in my Gibson, and then it just went bad again. I think I hit too hard or something, because I bust those little notes. So I don't use that guitar live, so it's not really an issue. So yeah, Doves are great. Hummingbirds are great too. Gibsons are tough because some of the Gibsons like some of the models to me just sound very toy-like, very thin. But that one definitely doesn't. The big Dreadnought ones are great. I think the J200. I always wanted to get the Beatles one, which is what the J160. I'd love to get one of those. In fact, that pickup worked well enough when I did a sound alike for Hey Jude, for St. Jude's Hospital, and we could not get the acoustic guitar to sound right. I was doubling, I was basically matching everything. I have a Beatle bass. I was playing the Beatle bass. I was playing everything we were pretty much matching the record note for note, but then there were a bunch of, we didn't do it, but somebody else did, a bunch of celebrities like Jennifer Aniston sang, one line in it poorly. Everybody's singing poorly, but it's just kind of for fun. There were a couple good singers. I think Keith Urban was on it. But we couldn't get the acoustic sound right. And I realized that, wait a minute, I think they may have recorded this through a guitar amp. So we took the output of that and ran it into a guitar amp, because remember the Gibson J120s that the Beatles used, J160s or 160 JE or something, they had pickups in them, and they probably ran it through an amp and recorded through the amp. And we did that, and it sounded much closer. I never was completely 100% satisfied, but I was like in the 90 percentile range, happy with the sound we got. It's so weird to think of running an acoustic guitar through an amp. I've done it before on other projects, but just to get kind of a different sound, or to get feedback. It's a great way to get feedback. If you need feedback on your record, running an acoustic guitar through an amp will do it in a heartbeat. Let's see. Did I miss it? Eat apples daily. Girls, boys, everyone. Eat apples daily. Yeah, that's a good one. I know, because I worry about saying eat at Denny's, get bad eggs. I'm afraid Denny's is going to sue me. But when I say it, I'm thinking about my friend Denny. He has horrible eggs. Let's see. Oh, you bought a baritone. Oh, you're not using the baritone? You know, you can always capo the fifth fret of the baritone. You could always capo the fifth fret of the baritone, and it's just a standard guitar. Oh, the G&L Dahomey I just picked up. Oh, I saw that. Yeah. Yeah, the Jazzmaster. Yeah, you know, Alex, my son he loves Jazzmasters. That's his whole thing. And in fact, he has one that has a little sticker on it that says "not a Jaguar" because people kept asking, "Is that a Jaguar?" But he has several Jazzmasters. He has actually one that Fender gave him a Jazzmaster. But he bought a 59 Jazzmaster. His idol, Eddie ate dynamite. Goodbye, Eddie. That's a good one too. You know, we need to compile these. No. Yeah, no. You need a good guitar. Barry's not that. A Barry is not that. I use my Barry a lot. I used it on. In fact, I just recorded. Let's see if it. Where is it? I was writing some thinking cues, like tension cues for Discovery Channel. So I don't know if you can hear this at all. It's probably pretty muddy. But that's a baritone. Yeah, that's the open B on a baritone. So anyway, that was what I was working on yesterday. Oh, you can actually hear that? That's good, because normally when I play music, it's like talking is fine, but when you play music, it gets all garbly. You know, the thing they really like is the French horns. They got to have the clusters. See, again, clusters on the French horns. You get these like, French horn clusters. You can do it with the strings too. But something about French horn clusters says, I'm thinking about something. And so they love that. Oh, yeah, the pepper I use for my oud and my lute, they're both round back, so they tend to go like this. You know, they tend to do this bit. And what I did was I was for years I was using a piece of fabric that was kind of tacky feeling. It was kind of fuzzy fabric that was tacky that you use for outdoor seat cushions so they don't slide off. And then I got some. You can also use. That one finally wore out, and then I got the lute, so I needed another piece, and I couldn't find that stuff. So I got anti-slip rug pads, and those work great too. Yeah. Oh, the bell. Oh, you heard the what are the tubular bells? Yeah. Yeah. And I put chorus on it to make it even reverb. There's lots of chorus and reverb on it. Yeah. So what is it? I do a bunch of these. So it's got to start with bass. And you add some strings. And then some percussion. It's like a kind of a very what's the composer I'm thinking of? Hans Zimmer. A lot of these don't even have guitar on them, but this one does. I got tremolo. French horns. There's one of those clusters here. Here, I'll pull up solo the French horn. Oh, dang it. I forgot I had that on. Okay, here it is. There's some more here with you. Yeah. Lots of percussion. Can't have too much of that, and tubular bells. So yeah, that's writing. I don't know. I that's not normal stuff that I write. Usually, I'm writing more guitar-driven type stuff. So, anyway, so let's see. What else did I miss? Any other questions? I don't know. I should probably have more. I should have said. I should have posted that I was going to do this. I just kind of did it. I don't do these enough. But let's see. And let's see. 8 p.m. Hey, so Egyptian, I was close. How did I know? Well, I know I don't know if you're still there, Egyptian, but I know what time it is in Europe because I work with some people in Europe, and Rome is 8 hours ahead. London's like 8 hours ahead. I think it's all pretty much the same. And I figured you might be a little bit further west. I'm sorry, further east, and therefore a little bit later. Wallace, you have a fever, and the prescription is tubular bell. Oh, ouch. I thought you were telling me you were sick. I was about to say, oh man, I'm sorry. Well, get some rest. In fact, in fact, I'm still going to say that. Wallace, I'm sorry. Get some rest. But I'll give you some tubular bell. How about some tubular bell clusters? That kind of sounds like a church. See, on piano, like I said, clusters are super easy. You just sit on a piano and you're going to get clusters. And that's why I kind of came up with that cluster guitar. I'm thinking about doing another one where it's all like D strings, like fourth strings. And that way I could get even lower. Might be kind of cool. Because I do have the drone guitar, but 3 E strings is enough. And actually, on a nerdy note, these are 3 different E strings. I use 3 different gauges. I think I've got 56, 54, and 52 on here. And the only reason I did was that on the outside chance that there would be a way to notice a difference between the sounds. I'm just making stuff up. It's super easy to bend that bottom string. Go up a fourth. And then with a metal sound. There was a band called the Presidents of the United States, and the bass player only had the 2 lower strings, and the guitar player, I think, had the lower 3 strings. And I always thought that was kind of brilliant because it forced their hand to write music in a certain way and perform music in a certain way. And then it left a lot of space for sonically for the vocals above that. I never was a fan, but I like, I never really got into their music, so I couldn't tell you one of their songs. But the concept was cool. And I like the concept of leaving space for other things to happen. I mean, when I'm orchestrating, you're really hyper aware of that, because if you put too much stuff going on, it just, you don't hear anything. And if you look at a score, like if you were to look at you can find a PDF of the Star Wars score, for example. It's freaking amazing to watch how things drop out and come back, and different. They just kind of, it's like a patchwork quilt of instruments. And then you can follow the melody. Like at one point, the melody being the strings, and then the next thing you know, it's in the French horns, and then it's in the trumpets, and then it's in the flutes, and it's back in the cellos, and it, you can just trace the melodies, that the way John Williams is, and any composer, good composer, is going to make you hear the melody. And if they had everything playing, that would be a different effect. But anyway, so I kind of like the notion that, you do something on guitar or whatever that's going to leave space for someone else. I'll give you another example of that is, if you ever watch the drummer for the Stones, what's his name? Charlie Watt. Charlie Watt will play hi-hat. Most drummers will play hi-hat on all eighth notes. 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So when they hit on 2 and 4, they hit snare and hi-hat at the same time. But Charlie Watts won't. It may be part of his jazz training, although that's not a very jazz pattern. But he will go 1 and 2. He'll leave that beat 2 and beat 4 alone, and it only have snare on it. And it's just really is cool concept to kind of remove something to make something else jump out and stand out, which is a really, really good thing. How did I master the F chord? Boy, Pepper, you know how long it's been since, did you see my video on the F chord? I can pull that up. It's one of my most popular videos. Should be pretty easy for me to find. Let's see. Videos, sort by most popular. It's definitely up there. That darn F chord. So I'll post a link right now to it. It'll probably play, and I don't want it to.
Everyone.
Yeah, ad. Sorry about the ads, but it does help. One thing you'll notice, I really, let's see, I did it on my last video. I may take it off, but I only use the ads before, I think once, that's the F chord video. Also, Pepper, you can look at the comment section of my videos. You guys are great with being real constructive with your comments. Very helpful, especially like if you look at the 2-chord song videos. I'm going to do another one of those. I think I talked about it before, and I still haven't done it yet because I'm chicken. I'm going to try to sing on it so that because people have said, oh, I don't know what song it is, or I can't tell where you are, or whatever. I'm going to reference vocals. I got to be careful because I don't want to get a copyright infringement issue. But I do have another one coming of that now. But the video, the comments you guys put on there may be some on the F chord video, where there are other tips as well as the ones that I give. It just takes time. It takes strength. It's really almost all about, here's the widest neck you can have. It's really about getting your thumb back there. I mean, you'll see me being lazy on my G chord. My thumb will be up here, C chord, my thumb's up here, D, whatever. But then if I go to a difficult chord, whether it's F, a bar chord, or whether it's some kind of like spread out, like this A2 chord, my thumb is not only behind the neck, it's almost on the bottom of the neck. So it's a lot about leverage. You really, I've always said this, you really need to keep the first finger straight. You can't bend this joint here, because if you bend that joint, then probably the second string's going to be dead. So you have to but if you can kind of tilt the hand, and the finger can be bent a little bit if you tilt it a little bit that way. I've seen that recommendation before. So that should help. But boy, it's just a kind of do it thing. The exercise I always gave students was just try to get all the strings to ring out with just the first finger, and I'm not holding any other finger down, so you can just. And if you can get that, it's easier to play the F chord because you really only have 3 notes depending on that bar: the first string and the top. I mean, I'm sorry, the bottom string, the 6th string, and the 2nd and 1st string. My hair is just sticking out. This is up there forever. Yeah, and some people, that's totally fine. The only problem with that F chord, it's just a little small sounding. It's even smaller than the D sound because it's a little higher. You can also do, I've got several cheaters that will work. You can also do F over C, which would be what you play, Kathy, plus put the pinky where the 3rd finger is, and then add the third finger up on the 5th string on the C. So the only thing you're missing is the F. If you want, you can tune it to F. There's a cheater. But now you're jacked up for all the other chords. Another cheater would be you could even play have the G string open. There's no 3rd in this one. I like this one, but this is harder than a bar chord. Jimi Hendrix would have played it this way. I can't do that as well. He would do this, actually. He did do that. And that's playing the F with your thumb, and then 2nd and 3rd here, and 1st finger there, open G string, and G on top. Voodoo Child has that. He does that. Hard to do on a nylon guitar. Gary, I've never sung and played bass at the same time. I've never done that. I had a band that was a trio, and the bass player was the lead singer, and I did all the writing, and I made him work so hard because the Police were really big back then, so I was writing these really kind of complex bass lines and then making him sing really high. Poor guy. He's still a good friend. He doesn't hate me, but he had to practice a lot. You just had to practice, and it's doing 2 different rhythms at the same. It's like walking down the street and rubbing your tummy and patting your head on 11. The thumb position thing is a toughie. Let's see. Was I in Rush? No. Do I look like I was in Rush? I kind of wish I was in Butler. Somebody said, who was it that I get a lot of people saying that I looked like? Who was the guy in the scientist in Jurassic Park? Who's that actor? Come on, you guys know it. I just can't think of it right now. I get that all the time, especially when I'm wearing. Depends on what glasses I'm wearing. I got new glasses coming next week, so see, I can't see the screen with these. Yes, Jeff Goldblum. Exactly. I get that. I don't know. It's funny. He plays at a club in LA almost every week. A friend of my son's runs sound for the club. And so you can go see Jeff Goldblum every week play at this little club in Hollywood. It's kind of fun. Rockaway. The club's called Rockaway, I believe. Yeah, I hate that. You never sleep again. Okay, so let's see. So that's without a thumbnail. really like that pattern. So I'm going to do a video on that pattern at some point, that finger picking pattern. I've used it on many things. It's basically a Villalobos pattern that I've kind of minimized, made it a little bit shorter of a pattern. So it's and I do that basically. I'm thinking downbeats. 1, 2, 3. So in slow motion, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. Sure, I don't see why not. I mean, I've used thumb picks when I've broken my thumbnail. I mean, if you're studying in college and your professor would say, no, you can't, you're not a classical guitarist if you're using a thumb pick. The thing is though, there's two different hand positions. For classical guitar, you're really got this kind of this position going, and I'm not sitting correctly, but basically you got this thing going. But when I go to like country stuff or finger style stuff, I collapse my hand like this. So it's a difference between this for classical and this. Yeah, it is Jeff Goldblum, Gary. I'm not Jeff Goldblum, but it is Jeff Goldblum when people say I look like. One of my early videos when I had long hair, my hair is always changing, but it's mainly because I just don't care, and then I let it get too long, and then I get it cut too short, and then it's. But one of my early videos is I had long hair, and someone commented, and I have my comments largely set for approval, and someone said, "I didn't know Kathy Bates played guitar." And so I had to approve it because I was like, it made me laugh out loud. And I commented back, funniest, comment ever, favorite comment ever. And the guy was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean anything bad. I like your videos." And so it wasn't anything like that. It was totally fine. Hey, Leeds, Michael, I'm about to sign out. It's been an hour and a half. Ugh. And what time is it there? It's like, almost noon here. So it's probably almost 7 o'clock there. But you can go back and watch this video. I don't know. Do you guys ever go back and watch these videos? I mean, I'm just here answering questions. Oh, yeah. The hand cramps. Which hand, right or left? I love you too, Patrick. I'll see. Hey, are you going to go to NAMM this year? Let me know. Okay. Let me know. Oh, it's nearly 8 p.m. So I'm off a little bit. Okay. Yeah, you're right. 8 hours ahead. Okay. Keep me posted, Patrick. Yeah. Your left hand. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely here's the thing. And I struggle with this. I've always struggled with this. And oftentimes we are working too hard. Okay. One thing you want to try to do is you really only need the string to make contact with a fret. Okay. That's all you have to think about, is making the string have contact with the fret. And it also helps if you play close to the fret. If you play too far back, you're going to have to push harder to make that happen. You do not need the string to make contact with the fretboard, which is the wood. Okay. Just the fret wire. Now, you probably will do both. It's very difficult not to do both. However, mentally, if you're thinking you've got to make contact with the fretboard, you're going to push harder. Okay. If you're pushing harder, you're working harder. If you're working harder, you're going to get more cramps. The other thing is, and this is my struggle, is I often am trying to push it through the fretboard. So a lot of times when I'm playing way too hard. Now, it's one thing if you're trying to put some mojo on a note, you're wanting to dig in, that's totally fine. If you're playing a lot of, if you're really digging in, that's a different thing. Playing hard is part of your sound at that moment. However, in digging in, but like when I was studying jazz, one of the challenges was to really if you play too hard, you can't really go fast. It's your hands are going to be, you're going to be planting your hands on a note. I'm playing very light. If I were to dig in really hard on that, it wouldn't be very easy to do. Exactly, Wallace. Now, there are times where I might want to dig in, and you have to dig in for the effect. But jazz players, classical players, generally you want to play lighter. Now, strangely, two of the styles that I find the most difficult are rockabilly and flamenco, and there's rockabilly stuff is players. Some of those players are really fast. I mean, Brian Setzer is a very fast guitar player, but he digs in pretty hard, so it's almost contrary to the physics of the instrument. When I watch a really good rockabilly player, who was the other guy that died years ago in DC, committed suicide? Great guitar player. And then flamenco is the same thing. Flamenco, I get hand cramps. I get hand cramps, Kathy, when I practice flamenco, because classical guitar is all about pulling. Okay, like you go to the gym and you do pulling exercises. You do the curls and you do the leg curls and all that, and then the next day you go and you do all the pushing exercises. Well, not flamenco guitar is all about pushing. So you'd be doing rasgueados, which are the continuous finger movements, which are really difficult. And the top of my hand would be on fire after about 5 minutes. I'd literally have to take a break, massage my hand, and then go back at it. And sometimes it would get so bad I could just had to stop. But then I could play classical guitar, no problem. It wouldn't hurt. But I've done sessions where I've had to do like quite a bit of flamenco type. Yeah, you get the idea. But that would hurt. So anyway, so yeah, you may be playing too hard is the problem. So that is it. So okay, so I'm going to take off. Got to run some errands, and I'm got to go play at church later. I'm going to do. I have not done any worship guitar player videos per se. There's so many great videos out there of that, but I do have some thoughts on the subject. Somebody asked me to do a video or two. So I may create a new playlist and tackle that subject a little bit, but it'll probably be more on the theoretical and less on the applicable playing kind of thing. So just the concepts of playing in a church band, that kind of thing. So the technical stuff I deal with, I don't really treat it any differently than any other playing as far as the actual technique of it. So any technique can be transferred into that environment, but the attitude needs to be different, and that's maybe something that I will approach. And also, worship music is its own genre and is very formulaic in some ways, especially if you're writing worship music. There's no more formulaic style of music to write. But also when you're playing it, it's interesting. There's no more dynamic music than worship music as far as up and down. It's outside of classical music. And maybe that's part of the reason why it's that way, because it's church is originally was originally all surrounded by classical music, organs, choirs, orchestras, things like that. I mean, Bach wrote for the church, Handel wrote for the church. Pretty much anyone who made a living as a composer, over 100 years ago was working for the church. So too bad that doesn't really happen today. I wish it did. It would be great. But there are a lot of people writing for church, but they're writing contemporary worship music and not so much concert pieces. So anyway, maybe we should change that. I hope you're all well. Thank you for watching. I think I saw 25 or so at the time, at the most. I will You can always ask me questions too on my channel page. And then I'm gonna probably post a video soon about the record project. I'm not making any progress on it right now, but I do have to go through some music and pick some stuff out. And I need uh, my thumbnail to grow back. So I may start recording. I mainly probably have more rehearsal to do than record. Recording shouldn't take long. It's the rehearsing. I got to get the pieces down because they're stinking hard. And I would prefer not to punch in, but if I have to, I will. But that's the beauty of technology. Anyway, false nails. I wish I could do those. I tried them once and it felt very foreign. I felt disconnected from the guitar. I have used thumb picks in particular for classical things. And I changed my technique. Okay, I said I was going to stop talking, and of course, then I just keep talking. I changed my technique to a lot of classical guitars have pretty long nails. I keep my nails very short and moderated my technique to accommodate that because I'm playing a lot of funk stuff and R&B stuff, and when I'm playing that, I'm scraping my nails on the string, so it wears them out thin. And so if I need long nails, it's not going to happen unless I were to stop playing electric guitar. So anyway, I'll talk to you soon. Let's see. Blessings to you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Oh, my recording's set up. Okay, David, duly noted. I think you've asked me for that before. I do want to do a video just like taking you through my whole place and showing you all the stuff because there's a lot of things you can't see around corners and stuff. So I will do that at some point. I haven't figured out exactly how to do it. I guess I could just carry the camera and walk around or have someone film me so that I could talk. I think that's a better way to go. I may have my son do that. So anyway, I hope you're doing well. I'll talk to you soon. God bless you guys. And I'll try to make a post that I'm going to do this. I'll let you know in advance that I'm going to do this. Okay. God bless you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.